So again, welcome to Social Media Essentials for Business. I know some of you may find social media fun. Some of you may find it more of a chore or a headache, or you hate it. All of the above or none of the above. But hopefully this will just kind of give you the basic social media essentials that you need just either to get started or keep you on your path of social media. So those are obviously you all came through SCORE to register, but some of you may not be as familiar with all of the great things that SCORE does. In addition to me, I'm a workshop presenter. I'm also a SCORE volunteer in SCORE Los Angeles chapter. I'm a workshop and marketing committee. So as you can see, 10,000 volunteers nationwide and almost 300 chapters. And this, of course, the Pasco Hernando chapter in Florida is hosting today's webinar. But all of the 300,000 total years of business experience, that's amazing. And in addition to this workshop that you're attending today, they have all of the chapters have great mentor services. If you haven't taken advantage of these, they're free. They come in all different business disciplines: finance, marketing, sales, business planning, manufacturing, a little bit of everything. So check out your local SCORE chapter's website and you can find a mentor feature. Also, check out all of the websites, whether it's the local one. If you're the Pasco Hernando SCORE chapter is your local one, you can visit that one. If it's not, go to score.org and go find your local chapter. All of the websites, all of the SCORE chapters have great resources. You can download all kinds of business plan templates and webinars that are on demand. So, and the great thing right now, like I'm dialing in from Los Angeles, is you can attend webinars in any of the SCORE chapters. So look around, get out of your area and see what's out there. Since we're going to be, I don't know how long we'll be in webinar format, but it'll probably be a while. And I do teach for SCORE chapters across the country. So I'm honored to be teaching here for Florida today, even though I am dialing in from LA. So that's SCORE. Definitely visit the websites. If you're not familiar with the resources, definitely check them out. Whether you're starting your business, you're growing it, you're about want to sell your business, there's something for everybody in every stage. And definitely share and tell your other business associates and about SCORE, because there's a lot of great resources that people do not know about. So always happy to talk about SCORE. So a little about me, if you haven't, say, quote unquote, met me yet. I am my very first position back in e-commerce, before it was even called e-commerce, was back in 1998. I worked for a gourmet gift basket company in the San Francisco Bay Area when I lived up there. And it was a traditional catalog and retail store, and took them to e-commerce into $1 million business back when e-commerce again was just starting. I have brand management experience, 17 years in the wine industry. I've helped all different types of businesses, as you can see here, with doing their social media and email marketing and websites and all that stuff. So I do work with businesses directly, helping them with their brand management. And in addition to teaching for today's Florida chapter, as I mentioned, I do teach for SCORE across the country, as well as local chambers and trade associations and private organizations. So that's a little bit about me. I've been in the marketing game for quite a few years, as you can see here. And I do love marketing, even though I'll share a funny story real quick. I don't know if it's funny, not funny for me, but I was teaching a in-person workshop back in 2019 to a local women's group that I'm a part of. And I asked the group, I was teaching a class called Avoid Marketing Overwhelm. And I asked everybody to raise their hand if they love marketing. And I think the only other marketing person in the room raised her hand. And I asked everybody if who likes to do their taxes, and I think everybody raised their hand. So to me, that's kind of weird, but I do love marketing. Don't necessarily like to do my taxes. So let's get started here. I have a lot of content, so be prepared to be overwhelmed by social media information. But again, you're going to get to repeat it and listen to it again if you desire. So the world of marketing, of course, today we're talking about social media, but it's much bigger than that, as you can see here. Traditional marketing, TV, radio, print ads, billboards, promotional products, all the traditional stuff. Public relations can go either way, traditional and digital. And then of course your digital world's growing, right? Besides the social media, you can do internet advertising, email marketing, text and Wi-Fi marketing. You have social media influencers and geofencing and retargeting, right? So where do you go? Right. I know this world, it's my world. And it can be overwhelming. Is there like, where do you go? Well, why should you do one thing over the other? And sometimes it's just a budgetary consideration, but usually it should be considered on where your audience is, right? Where you're going to best reach your audience to market your products or services. So I know we're here to talk about social media. You're ready to go. You're already on social media. You're like, I need to get on Instagram. I hear that all the time. But I'm going to pull you back for just a few minutes and encourage all of you, if you haven't done this yet, is figure out before you go any further, know exactly where you need to go. And what I mean by that is having a marketing plan. And there's different reasons that you should have it. And you don't want to, and as Ben Franklin says, if you fail to plan, you're already planning to fail, right? You don't want to be this company, right? Throwing the spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks, that's can cost time and money. Or you don't want to do this, what we call a marketing spray and pray, right? You shoot the bullets or fling the arrows and hope that you get in that bullseye. But all of those holes that you see there are time and money, right? Your time and money, and nobody likes to waste either one of those. So you don't want to do this. So I encourage you, take a step back before you get on social media or continue on social media. Is think about your business plan. Now, there's some reasons to have a business plan, and this isn't my business plan class, I promise. I always start with this because I always see when I talk to businesses and attendees of my classes that they tend to jump all the way to the, let's just start doing it and not really have that plan in place. So the reasons to have it, definitely, as I mentioned, you don't want to spray and pray. You want to maximize your marketing budget and return on investment. A marketing plan creates consistency. Of course, that's one of the big C words in marketing. And the other one is conversion, actually converting people into clients. Encourages deeper thought about your business and marketing, of course. So, of course, with this last year and a half when we're, in lockdown and people have had to change their business, pivot, reimagine, whatever the word is, do things differently, perhaps because of COVID, this definitely will help you really think about your business moving forward, of course. And even without a pandemic, always making sure that you're on the right track with your business. And if you have employees, definitely will unify your team, make sure that everybody's on the same page, and then actually improves your chances of accomplishing your marketing goal if you write things down. So very important. So I won't go into detail in this. This is my marketing plan 101 class, which I'm actually teaching right after this at 1 p.m. Pacific time. But I just to give you a starter on it, setting goals, what are you trying to achieve? And that's very important when it comes to social media as well, long-term versus short-term goals. Who your customers are. Do you really truly know who your customers are? And building buyer personas. You might have multiple buyer personas, but really understanding who they are, because that will help you figure out where they hang out. Social media, email, billboards, radio, TV, all of those different marketing opportunities. And then SWOT analysis and unique selling proposition, figuring out, doing that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on your business, as well as figuring out what is your unique selling proposition, what makes you different from your competitors, if you have any. And then, of course, building your brand story. We're going to talk about number 4 with this because it's important with social media, but making sure all of your messaging, visuals, your marketing materials, everything is telling the right story to your ideal customer. And then, of course, today we're going to be in number 5. We're in channels talking about social media, but always making sure you have a plan in place and you're always measuring and optimizing, there, especially with social media as well, making sure you're actually converting, right? So that's marketing plan. Again, if you want to attend after this, I have the coming up, I can send the link. That's a SCORE Los Angeles hosting that one. Very important. So we're going to talk about number 4 first to start off. What's your story? What does that mean exactly? And why do you need a brand story? Well, because it sets you apart from your competitors, right? And without one, you're just another business or commodity. People like people, they know, like, and trust people, right? They may connect to your product or service, but they want to know the person, the people behind it, right? So everything you do crafts your story, right? So whether you put it on social media, your website, your marketing materials, the sticker on your truck, if you have trucks, whatever touch points you have with your customer tells your brand story. And is it telling it to the right audience again? So making sure that, everything you do is consistent, again, that C word, because confusion it makes people not want to buy, right? If you confuse them, they're not going to buy from you. So making sure you're consistent across all platforms. Social media, if you're on 3 or 4 platforms, make sure all of your brand is consistent across the board. All right. So, just some examples. None of us are Starbucks or Apple here today, but we can learn from these particular brands, whether you love them or hate them, doesn't matter. Some of us, I'm an Apple user. I do go to Starbucks, but what these two brands have in common, and that I want everybody to take away from them, is consistency. That C word again. Whether you go to an Apple store in Florida or one in Hong Kong, right? You're going to have a pretty consistent brand experience. Only difference, language might be a little bit different. Maybe they're wearing different color polo shirts, but the products are the same. The experience you get is the same. Doesn't matter where you go, right? Same with Starbucks, right? You might go to one in Los Angeles or one in Paris, France. Again, pretty consistent brand experience, slightly different drinks, different language, but pretty much you know what you're getting when you walk into a Starbucks anywhere in the world, right? And none of us are big global brands, but what the message here is consistency with your brand. So I don't know, a couple people raised their hands. So I don't know if anybody had a question, but if you do have a question, go ahead and put it in chat or Q&A rather. I don't know if the hand raising was. So again, brand messaging and consistency, is important. Whatever size brand you are, that's what you're trying to convey to the world or to your little universe, wherever you're located. And don't forget, your brand is also the people behind it. So whether it's just you, if you're a single person business, or if you have employees, people behind it, again, people want to know people. They want to know the story, right? So I worked in the wine industry for many years. I don't know if we have any wineries here today attending. I know I've invited to wineries, not to pick on them, of course, but typical winery website's going to have these images, of course, as they should, right? Vineyards and bottles and barrels and food and all of that, but it also should have some people behind the story as well. All right. So here's some examples from social media. This was a Facebook page I went to, forgot the winery, I think it's in Napa, and I looked at all their photos and all their posts, and most of their pictures were of vineyards and grapes, which is okay. Yes, I understand if you're a winery, you probably have some vineyards and grapes, right? But the only people in their photo and any of their photos were these two gentlemen, very important gentlemen, harvesting grapes. But that was the only thing that was telling their brand story, was just vineyards and grapes, right? Now here's another winery, also in California, but this was some of their photos from their Facebook page. And this tells a little bit more about their brand story, right? They have their winery owner doing some wine tasting. You have people having fun in the tasting room. You can do some grape stomping at an event. You can have your dogs there. Looks like my little pug. They're totally different brand story, right? It gives you the people behind it and the people enjoying the people here and the animals as well. So it tells a totally different story about their brands. So again, just using the wine industry as an example, this person here that's helping these customers, it might be the owner, it might be a staff person, but making sure whatever your business is, that all of you are telling the same story about your brand and making the customers happy, of course, whereas these customers are happy tasting some wine, but that person helping them should be telling a consistent brand story across the board. So, of course, your brand persona emotionally connects your audience to your message, which again makes you more relatable and likable. And so there's personal branding versus business branding, a little different, right? So if you are your own brand, your own business, a little bit different than if you have, say, a company. So a little about personal branding, right? You're already branding yourself with your online image. And are you telling the right story? So I'll give Janet as an example. I know this lady personally. She's a life coach out here in California. And she was using this perfectly serviceable picture, a headshot, pretty much what she looks like. But, is it telling the right story to her audience? And so a brand photographer that I know got a hold of her and kind of zhuzhed her up a little bit. And got her to appeal to her target audience. So, right. So she's a life coach. So she did some photographs of her looking warm and friendly and open and accessible. I can imagine sitting across from Janet in this room and telling her my life problems, right? So it's giving a little bit more flavor to who she is and who she's helping, other than just a standard headshot, right? So here's another example, one of Gina's clients of Janichi Studios, a hair and skin specialist, Marcy Jean. She's selling professional and playful, right, with her photographs, right? She looks very fun personality, way she dresses, but she also wants to convey that she's very professional and she knows what she's doing with your hair and skin, right? And then here's a East Wellbeing and Tea shop that does massage and obviously body care and sells tea. So they're selling calm, right, with their photographs. And then here's Vinny, a real estate broker out in the central coast of California, right at the water, beautiful Pismo Beach, if you're familiar with it. And he's not just selling a home, he's selling a lifestyle. A real estate broker, he knows where he lives. There's 200 wineries in his backyard. There's great gourmet food overlooking the beautiful ocean. So again, not just selling a home, but selling a lifestyle. And me, same thing. I was doing the same thing like Janet. I was using a headshot that I worked at a credit union. I was employee of the month. They slapped me up against the beige wall, took a picture, and I was using that. But, it's a nice picture, but it wasn't telling the story to my businesses. I have California wine marketing, so I obviously wanted to be out in the vineyards. I don't get to sit out and drink all day as working wine marketing, but at least it can tell a bit more about my story in the wine industry. So definitely make sure all of your graphics, everything you do, your images, up to date, keep them fresh, convey who you are. You want to make sure, as Gabrielle pointed out, for Janet as an example, was her picture acceptable? It was older picture. The newer pictures is more what she looks like. So again, using an older picture, it's something that you had like, okay, had this professional headshot taken 10 years ago, and it kind of still looks like me, but is it really telling your story? So you want to make sure you have everything you do is telling your story. So a business, a little bit different, right? So there's people behind it, but also, if you have an actual business, this is one of my winery clients that I do social media management and emails and all of that for. And when I first met them 4+ years ago, they really didn't have any pictures, anything up to date. And they were having a 10th anniversary party. So we brought Gina in to take photographs at the party. And then I had her come back and do stock pictures, just so we had stuff for social media and marketing, right? So of course we had to get pictures, typical stuff at a winery, your grapes and vineyards and your bottles and all of that. They're also a distillery, so we have to get the cocktail shots. And then we need product photography, of course, as well. Didn't have any of that. And then this is what experiences when you come to the winery itself. This is a wine club party. So, music and food and everybody having a good time in the tasting room. And then again, some more shots of people having a good time. The tuxedo crooner, it was at the 10th anniversary party. That's not a usual tasting room feature. That would be fun though, huh? And just people, again, having a good time at the event. And of course, the people behind the winery, the owners on the bottom and the tasting manager in the upper right. So these, in where they are, and I know a lot of you are in Florida, where they are in the central coast of California, there's almost 300 wineries. You could literally just walk down the driveway of their tasting room and walk across the road and hit another one and walk, say, a quarter mile in either direction and hit more wineries. It's like, why why do people come to their business when there's so much competition in their backyard? It's the people. Yes, they have good juice, good grape juice, but so did the other ones. It's all subjective, right? Everybody's taste is a little bit different, but it's the people that brings them back. So telling their story and making that part of their brand is important, because they'll come for the juice, but they really come there for the people. So that's important. And then once you have all these visuals, you can actually create social media posts, marketing flyers, ads, whatever you need to create for your marketing purposes. So important to have good visuals. And then of course, video marketing as well. Very important. Right now, it says in 2022, 82% of the global internet traffic will come from video streaming and downloads. Right. And of course, YouTube, #1 for video. That makes sense. Right. And videos are the consumer's favorite type of content to see from a brand on social media. So make sure you're doing video if you can. Very important. They want to see video from their favorite brands on here, as it says. And it says 8 out of 10 people have purchased a piece of software app after watching a brand's video. So a lot of marketers use it. Obviously, very important tool if you can do videos and it works for your business. Consumers make purchasing decisions based on watching videos. They say often buy a product online after watching a video about it. Now, it might not make sense for everybody. If your product, don't necessarily need to have a video or show it. But if it does, if people do respond to video, I know I like it when I'm buying offline. And if there's a video demo of a product, I usually watch the video, especially if it's something a little more complicated. Now, not for everything, of course, but it does stick in your mind a little bit more. When it comes to social media, majority of videos are shorter than 60 seconds. Instagram, less than 30. You don't want to have, Rachel, I just saw Rachel's comment, same picture since 2014. But given that we have very short attention spans and a lot of distractions, you don't want to do really long videos on social media. If you're doing a how-to video, yes, you can put, Instagram TV or put it on YouTube, but for general videos, you just don't want them too long. People are going to tune out if they're too long. They're sitting there usually at the office, right, or at home watching the videos, and they don't want to be consumed by a long video. So keep those short. And videos on Instagram get 2 times more engagement than any other social media platform. And videos are shared 1,200% more than images and text combined. So that's interesting note. And so this is an interesting one too. You can see here, most videos, 40% are finished with subtitles, and 85% of Facebook videos watched with the sound off. So that would help to have subtitles if it makes sense for the actual video to have subtitles. So we usually do have the sound off or turn off the auto sound on there. And you can see here, it's almost, this is like pre-COVID. So almost half and half prefer live versus pre-recorded, and things changed obviously with COVID and quarantine, locking us down for the most part last March, right? A lot of us had to pivot, our favorite P word, pivot to doing lives, switching to webinars, Zoom, videos. I had to get more comfortable with it, right? A lot of us just didn't embrace it, but we're forced to embrace it. So that really is changing how we consume and how we use social media for our businesses as well. And so this one in the black box, pay attention to this one with Facebook, for yourself and for your business. Consumers are most likely to like behind the scene videos, like and share funny videos, share educational, and like and share emotional videos. So this is important for engagement, as we'll talk about throughout this course today. Engagement is key, and engagement means they're liking, they're commenting, they're sharing, and that's going to get you more reach. So very important to remember why this is important here, liking and sharing. So pay attention and look at how many people like and share. If you're doing video content already, if you're doing, say, funny videos or behind the scene, how are people reacting to them, if they are at all, and kind of keep using that as a formula. Don't say, well, they always like our funny videos, so we're only going to do funny. No, it might just have been the subject or the timing or whatever. But just pay attention to what people are doing, mix it up, and see what happens. And then, so to finish with video, think about it. People remember 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, and an amazing 70% of what they see and hear. So of course, it's what makes video very important. And of course, TikTok, right? Our video, one video app. 41% of TikTok users are age 16 to 24. So it is a younger audience, though. Everybody's using it. Of course, last year, this, year and a half now, more people have used TikTok. It was used quite a bit last year by everybody doing TikTok challenges. But again, usually still pretty young audience. So it depends on your market. Again, not that anybody could use it, but just pay attention to what your demographic is with that. And then a new kid on the block, raise your hand if anybody here is on Clubhouse. Nobody. Wow. Anybody never heard of Clubhouse? Raise your hand. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Wow. A lot of people. So, thank you. So Clubhouse, new kid on the block. There's actually a couple of newer kids. So, Clubhouse is a audio only chat app now. So basically it's rooms, and the box in orange there that says Clubhouse is like a party, university, business, concert, therapy session, spiritual group, dating app, network event, all wrapped in one. Kind of describes Clubhouse. Basically, you log on to Clubhouse. It's an app. It's now open to everybody. It was invite only up until a few months ago, and it was only iPhone. Now it's iPhone, Android. I think you just download the app and you're on. Started last April, I believe, and it was only like invite to celebrities and influencers and people like that. I joined it in December, was invited in. It's basically a bunch of rooms, different topics, whether it's business or personal, like that orange box says. You go into a room, you're either on stage if it's your own room, or you're in the audience. And if you're in the audience, you don't talk unless you're invited up on stage, or you can raise your hand to get on stage if they'll let you up to talk. But basically, whatever the topic of the room is, it's just chat. It is being used to monetize now. People have used it to make money, selling their coaching programs and different things. There are businesses, brands on it more now, but it's not necessarily yet something like, posting up on Facebook or Instagram. So a little bit different. There's a new app called The Green Room that's competing against it. Twitter has one. I think it's called Twitter Talk. I have not been able to find it. I think it's in beta mode. I don't have it on my Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. I believe Facebook is also working on an audio chat. So it's a new way for social media. So if you're interested in it, go to the Clubhouse app and find it, and see what it's about, and see if it makes sense to a lot of marketing people on there talking about marketing, wine industry, a lot of wine industry people, a lot of different topics, different languages as well. So I mentioned that here as a potential social media outlet to explore in the future. Okay, so top 10 social media marketing mistakes. We'll start with that, and we'll then talk about things to do and not to do. So number one, no plan in place, know where to focus first. As I mentioned, very important to have a marketing plan in general. Before you go out there and spend any time and money on social media, and your time is your money, right? If you're doing your social media. Again, not being clear about the short-term and long-term goals. And that makes a difference with social media. I mean, in general for your marketing plan, but social media is a slow burn. It's not going to be an overnight thing. As soon as you start posting, people are going to start buying, right? It does take time to build your social media awareness, your engagement, your reach, and all of that. So if it's something that you're looking for a quick sale, quick fix, it's not going to necessarily be social media unless you're lucky to get that quick turnaround, overnight success, right? Not getting the basics right first, right? There's a lot of different outlets for social media now. I'll show you, a lot of fancy things you can do, but just getting posts out there on a regular basis, just getting those basics right first. I see that a lot. kind of focusing on 10 steps ahead, right? Before you even have taken that first step. And then not measuring the right numbers, right? So usually everybody focuses on what I call the vanity numbers. And the vanity numbers are like, how many followers do you have, right? I have 10,000 followers on Instagram. So what does that mean, right? Do they have 10,000 followers on Instagram? Do they convert, right? The other C word, conversion. Do they buy from you? Do they interact? Do they, whatever your goal is, buy your service, buy your product, interact, whatever you want them to do with you. What are those 10,000 followers doing? Right? So that's the vanity number. Look under the hood, and there's other numbers to look at. Analytics, are they converting or what are they doing? Are they visiting your site? Are they talking to you? Whatever it is, calling you up if you give them a phone number. So make sure you're measuring all of those numbers, not just your follower counts, right? And again, expecting too much in too short a time, which also ties into number 6, then you're disappointed and you give up too early, right? So again, that's not planning. Number 2, your long-term and short-term goals. So make sure that your expectations are set correctly, that you are not expecting too much in too short of a time, and don't give up. Again, it's consistency and keep on doing it. Say, oh, nothing's happening here. I've posted 5 times and I think I'm done. No. I'm talking to somebody. I do marketing consulting for Women's Business Center, and she's been doing Facebook ads, and it's not working. Now, I haven't looked at anything, and I asked, well, what does she do? And it sounds like she's a jack of all trades. Like she's a business organizer, a home organizer, executive assistant, a little bit of everything. Again, I haven't dug in. Just before I got on this call, was thrown this client, and it sounded to me like, I wonder if she knows how to target her audience, because her audience sounded so broad. So that I have to look at it and see. But I was just curious, like, I wonder who she's actually targeting if she's doing so much. That makes it a little bit tricky. And then number 7, not having quality content in place. Images, video, as I showed you, branding is very important, making sure you have all of that so you can easily execute on your marketing, social media, emails, marketing materials, whatever it is. And then thinking success will come naturally to the ones with the best product or content. Not necessarily, right? There's a lot, a lot of people out there have been doing it for a long time. Again, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. There's only a few that can be an overnight success out there, but it's all about consistency, staying out there. It's all it's about. And then trying to do it yourself when you don't like social media. I see this a lot with business owners. They tell me, I hate it. I don't do anything with social media myself. And then you do it. But the chances are you're probably not doing it if you don't like it. So find somebody that likes social media, not your 17-year-old nephew who loves to be on Instagram, because again, number 10, sure, all of us know how to post and play on social media, but do they know and have any strategy behind it? And there is strategy, what to post, what to get reach, and all of that, where to post. So if you don't like it, hand it over to somebody else that does like social media. Even if you do like social media, make sure you're the right person doing it. Is your time better spent doing social media, or is it doing something else to grow your business? So just be aware of, I see that a lot where business owners get tripped up on social media because they just like it or they don't have time to do it. So some stats, social media. So where should you go and where your customers are? So these stats are important to pay attention to. So the first age, right? Who your customers are and what age group are they? Social media is still about the younger audience. So 18 to 29, Gen Z, or we call Zillennials, 30 to 49, your millennial market, 50 to 65, Gen X, and we invented the internet, we're still out there, and 65 plus. So if you're a senior market, 65 plus, not so much on social media, they're out there, but it's not a huge market for social media, right? And I'll show you by platform how these numbers change, right? So, obviously the 18 to 49 are the majority of it, but you still have that Gen X kind of getting older crowd, getting still out there on social media. It'll just be different platforms, right? So I'll show you that per platform and pay attention to the numbers as they change. All right. And what do people want brands to be on social media? Obviously, honesty, always friendly, helpful, funny, they like as well. Think about if they walked, if you have a storefront, some of you may have storefronts, what do they want from you if they walk in the store? Now, I don't know if they want you necessarily funny, perhaps, but definitely honest, friendly, and helpful. And again, not so much on the bottom. Be careful about, it says politically correct. Be careful about politics in general. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. Excuse me, given the sensitive nature of politics these days, you just want to be careful as a business owner not to turn off a certain segment. Yes, we want to be authentic, but this is one polarizing area that you should just leave out of your business, unless your business is politics. And being kind of snarky, you have to be careful about attitude. Some people can pull it off. Big brands can be kind of snarky with each other, but I've seen smaller businesses fail where people just are not getting their snarkiness, and it can affect their business. Trying to be funny, but it's just not coming off right. And then what can brands do on social media to make a purchase? So kind of similar again, if you had a storefront, they want you to be responsive, right? They want you to be there for them if they walk in the door or show up to your website, or on social media. They like promotions always, whether in person or online. Providing educational content, so information about your products or services. Exclusive content's always good, right? Always like interesting visuals. A little bit being funny, not so much here. And then, of course, marketers versus consumers. Of course, Facebook #1, Instagram second, followed by Twitter, YouTube, Messenger, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Pinterest, WhatsApp. So it depends on your customer base as well, but always Facebook and Instagram are 1 and 2 for marketers and consumers. So here's the individual platforms. Facebook, pay attention to the demographics I mentioned again. So the age range here, you can see again, 18 to 49, right? The two smaller groups, or younger groups, I should say, are the majority, but look at 51% in that 50 to 64 range, that Gen X, right? This is a group that, we follow the kids, right, everywhere, and then the kids move on, right? So 51% for Gen X group, 34, 65 plus, a little bit more men than women on Facebook. Still the #1 platform out there. People think it's dead. It's not, not going anywhere. And pay attention to this. The top 2 reasons that people go to Facebook are #1, just keep in contact with family and friends, kind of the purpose of it, and then to get entertained. They're not going on there necessarily to go shopping, right? I mean, if you're selling your product or service on there, I know this will sound weird, this isn't their #1 reason. We don't go, oh, I need to go find X, I'm going to go on Facebook and look. No, of course not. It's a drive-by thing. In between being in contact with friends and family and being entertained, they have ads, right? And just like you would, on television, right? Being entertained, you have commercials, but keep that in mind. They're not there necessarily to shop. But if you can entertain them at the same time, that might help. So again, being in contact with friends and family and to be entertained. Right, so 78% of American consumers have discovered retail products. They do shop, they do buy if they see products they want. And keep in mind, this is important, 96% of Facebook users use it via mobile devices. Why this is important: if you have a website that is not mobile responsive or mobile friendly, this could hurt you. So I think this day and age, you better all have a mobile responsive website. If you don't, get that fixed right away. That's hurting you. Nobody wants to go to a website where they have to, pinch and expand and try to figure out how to shop on an old website, and it hurts you for SEO with Google as well. So if you don't have a mobile friendly site, get that updated as soon as possible. Hopefully everybody does by now. And then, of course, marketers love using Facebook, and there's a lot of businesses, 80 million businesses around the world using Facebook pages. Facebook groups, we'll talk about that separately, but Facebook groups are definitely very much more popular. I'll show you why that is. So Facebook's direction changed a couple of years ago. And then of course, more consumers will be shopping. It says come 2021, this was last year. And that's, COVID kind of helped push a lot of people online because we couldn't go out in person to shop necessarily safely in a lot of places. Some states were locked down a little bit tighter than others. But this isn't going to change, right? A lot of people who decided to shop online are still shopping online, so see what happens this fourth quarter with Christmas coming along, and if people are going to still be shopping online, even if we're open or not, right? So engagement, as I mentioned earlier, it's all about getting engagement to get the most reach, especially when it comes to Facebook. You only have about 1 to 3% organic reach these days. Used to be a lot more. So even if you have 5,000 fans, only about average of 2% are going to see your posts on a regular basis. And a couple reasons for this. Of course, Facebook is a business. They had to monetize, and they make money via ads. So they want you to buy ads for them. So of course they throttle back your engagement. But the other reason, if you think about this, is Facebook is unique from the other platforms in that you have multiple ways to get content, right? So say, making these numbers up, I have 1,000 friends on my profile, and then I follow 50 pages of businesses, and then I'm in 100 groups, right? So all different subjects. So if all 1,000 of my friends and all 50 businesses and their pages and all 100 groups were posting up and active all day, every day, can you imagine what your feed would look like? It would be just it would be like Twitter. It would be a constant moving stream of stuff that you'd have to try to keep up with. So Facebook realizes like we need to throttle that back. Well, how do we do that? Well, they do it by engagement. Like, so if you're engaging with your pages, your groups, your friends, they figure those are the ones that you most want to interact with. Now, of course, if you happen to see Mary, your friend who posts all the time, but you never engage in her posts, she might drop off from your feed, because they figure, well, you're not engaging, you're not liking, sharing, commenting on any of her posts on your feed. So that'll eventually drop off. And that's why you see, if you're on Facebook and on your profile, it feels like you only have, 10 friends out of 1,000, because those are the ones who keep engaging with you. So if it might be a lot of friends are just not that active on Facebook, but that's why the engagement's throttled back, right? Money, and just time for you to look at all that content. So the best time for global engagement, if you kind of look at this kind of heat map, the highest is kind of middle of the week, midweek, midday is generally the highest engagement you get across the globe. And then how often should you post per day? Now, this bare minimum says once a week. My bare minimum, I say 3 times a week bare. If you're doing none at all right now, once a week would be great, right? It's better than 0. Better if you can, once or twice a day, but avoid sharing those posts in quick succession. Like, I'm going to catch up and just put 10 posts up. No, you don't need to do that. Just spread them out across a week or whatever, and don't disappear for weeks at a time. Right? It's Facebook, remember, it's engagement and reach. So if they are, you're only sending out 1 post a month, chances are they're not going to be engaging with you, of course. So the more opportunities you get them to engage, do as much as you can consistently. Don't freak out if you're like, oh gosh, I'm never going to be able to do once or twice a day. If you can do that 3 times a week, great, do that. Stick with that for a while and see if you can up it from there. Having it, I'll show you my content calendar, having that plan in place as well helps get that content out there, And again, as I mentioned, the best times to post, kind of that middle of the week, midday, 1 to 4-ish, and then later in the evening as well, some depending on your audience, right? 6 to 10. If you have an older audience, they might not be up from 6 to 10 p.m. You can kind of look at your analytics and see your individual audience. Everybody's a little different. So there are Facebook insights. You can go when are your fans online? and it will show you the same graph. It's probably pretty similar, right? Most people are like, in bed, for from 9 p.m.-ish to 4 a.m., approximately. And then it starts rising as people wake up, go to work, do their work, and then peaks in the middle of the day and then starts dropping down again. But take a look at your individual insights to see if this is much different, and pay attention to when they're online. Instagram, number 2. Now, if you paid attention to those demographics on Facebook versus Instagram, if you remember these are a little bit lower, but if you look at especially Gen X, 50 to 64, here it's 23%. Facebook was 51%. And you could see here 8% only for your senior market, 65 plus. So still your millennials and millennials are here, but also Gen X are here, but not as much as Facebook. So if you're 50 plus in your marketing, you might want to do more Facebook than Instagram, So, and again, depends on what you do, but that's Instagram is definitely it's been younger market. Like I said, the parents chase the kids down to the next platform, right? And then Instagram, 1 billion users. It is the second most engaged network after Facebook. And people do discover products on Instagram as well as Facebook, as you can see here. And Instagram does help 80% of Instagrammers decide whether to buy a product or service. So people are influenced by what they want to buy from what they see on Instagram. And businesses, of course, are using Instagram just like Facebook, but Instagram can generate 4 times more interactions on Instagram compared to Facebook. And again, that's because when I mentioned the different ways that we engage on Facebook, you don't have that on Instagram, the groups, the pages, your profile, right? You have your followers, and you people you follow, but that's why you get more engagement, is because Facebook throttles back that engagement. And of course, the most popular post by distribution, still images, still number 1. Number 2, video, and then carousels, a little bit newer. I'll show you the different types if you're not familiar with all the Instagram things. So the first one, I should say, is just your Facebook feed screen, right? You have your single post. And then this is what your profile screen looks like with your profile and your various posts here. And then carousels, as I mentioned, fairly new compared to the others, where you can put multiple pictures on one post. So before you'd have to take 5 pictures from this party and do 5 individual posts. Now you can have them on one post and then they swipe through, makes it a little bit easier. Instagram Reels, so new, it's a TikTok competitor. Instagram started in January of this year. They said that they may not show your content if you're uploading from third party like TikTok onto Instagram. They want you to use Reels. So of course they're going to throttle back the competitors on there. So this was just brand new as of January of this year that they announced that. So if you are doing video, if you're using Instagram, focus on the Reels for Instagram. If you use TikTok, you can use it for other platforms. You could use it, but just be mindful that they may not show that content as much as they would if it was a Reel. And then of course, Instagram stories, they were the first one to have stories. Now everybody does, right? So different way of engaging in your audience. Get a 24-hour period, they disappear. Of course, you can save it to highlights. You can do swipe ups if you have 10,000 plus followers. You can do tags and all kinds of stickers, all kinds of fun things, put hashtags on them. So a little bit different way. People see it a little bit more authentic because it's not a post that could be manipulated like on Facebook. That's a concern. All right. So these are the popular shared content types on Instagram that gets engagement. Of course, people like to see human faces in the pictures. It gets 38% more likes than photos without, interesting enough. Animals are always popular, right? Pugs of Instagram. Food, if you're in the food business at all, even if you're not, maybe put up food pictures, but it is very popular content. And then inspirational quotes, people love that across the board, video content here as well. This is a looks like a makeup how-to video from Birchbox. Historical videos as well. If there's something historical you could put up, obviously Michael Jordan and Jack Nicholson probably had a Lakers game together. User generated content, right? So these are users putting a picture of this juice bar here. So it's always great if you can get user generated content. Make sure they're tagging you as well. Behind the scenes, you know, people always like to see what's going on. Here's looks like a screen printer doing their products. You can do behind the scene videos or pictures, either one, you know, something just to get a flavor of what you do. And then, of course, landscapes and scenery, you know, and it says the color blue gets the most engagement. Now, don't go to your Instagram and make all your pictures blue, you know, but for some reason it does get a lot of engagement. See, you know, maybe try a few and see how that works out. See if you get a lot of engagement with it. But of course, any landscape scenery, people like that. Real-time trends. If you remember Pokemon Go, I don't know if that even does people still do that? That was years ago. This is the picture that came up. You know, obviously a bakery, you know, using this trend of Pokemon and making, what was it, cakes or cupcakes or something. So you can, if you can latch on to any real-time trends, it makes sense. That's could help you out with engagement. And then hashtags, right? So how many hashtags? There's no cut and dry rule about it, but with Instagram, you can use up to 30 hashtags in a post. You can either put them in the post itself or put them in the comments, either way. For stories, up to 10 for stories. You can do one sticker, one in the sticker or 3 in a text box. And then up to 30 for Instagram TV. Not saying you have to do 30, but up to any of those. And across the board, even with Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, whatever you're using hashtags for. But keep them to a minimum. Don't just put them in there just to have them in there. Top 50 hashgrams. That's I keep saying every time I do this slide, I always say hashgrams. Somebody said I should patent that. It's my new word, hashgrams. Top 10 or 50 Instagram hashtags for 2021. These are obviously top level, you know, going to be very popular, millions of tags on these, millions of posts. But these are the most popular ones. You could, you know, use them as well if you want to, but these are the top 50 currently in use for 2021. And so there are different types of hashtags to keep in mind, right? So there's community hashtags. What are those, right? So say you're a wedding photographer, you can use hashtag wedding photographer. Bakers of Instagram. Restaurant can use foodies of Instagram. I use for my restaurant client, we have foodies of Instagram. I think Insta food, and there's a bunch of them for food, wine, wines of Instagram, Insta wine, Winestagram. So you can do daily hashtags, Monday motivation, Tuesday tip, wellness Wednesday, special events, you know, it's National Donut Day coming up, right? Hashtag using locations, pastry NYC for New York, made in Toronto. So those would be community-based hashtags you can use. And then branded hashtags for your business. Here's Estee Lauder using Estee Wishlist as a hashtag. So you can, you know, your brand may not be popular, but it could start trending, and make sure your customers are using it if they're doing content, you know, and encourage them to use it to find your content, right? And then campaign hashtags. So if you're doing a specific campaign, maybe something for Christmas, in this case, it's a Teza app doing the 12 days of Teza for, looks like Christmas time. So very short-term tags, maybe something seasonal or for something for a specific campaign that you're doing. So there are different types to use. And then I'm just looking at a question here for Rachel. After photo videos, any insight into the post insight content hashtag, does that make a difference in engagement? It could, to answer that, you know, it really depends on the content too. I mean, you might say, oh, well, in this post, I put in 20 hashtags and the other one I didn't, and I got more engagement without. It could be the content as well, but pay attention, do those analytics and see what's working. You know, it may or may not be the hashtags, it may just be the content. You know, it may be that the video is getting more attention than the photographs. You know, mix it up and see what people are really engaging with. You know, and again, is it something educational, funny? Is it behind the scenes? Is it your promote your product itself? Is it picture of you? You know, that gets more content. So there's a lot of factors in that what makes engage, as long as you're getting engagement, you know, but pay attention to what is getting higher engagement as well. The purpose of a hashtag is, so hashtags were started actually by Twitter, with Twitter years ago. And then I think people started using them for Facebook and got a little crazy with them and were hashtagging every single word they typed out, which wasn't the purpose. Basically, it's to find content of similar content. So trending things, you know, so if it's hashtag pizza, for example, you can type in a hashtag pizza and find all the posts related to that. So it's a simple way for you to find similar content, is the purpose of the hashtags. And then also using them for your own purposes, like your special campaigns and things where people say, hey, use hashtag, you know, Christmas 2021, you know, as your one for your business, more specifically for a campaign. And so you can gather all that content into one hashtag, one place, if that makes sense. So that was generally the purpose of it, is just to find those trending topics. So back to Instagram. So similar time when you post, generally the same amount time as Facebook, midday and then later in the evening as well. And then the amount of posts pretty similar. Again, bare minimum once a week. I encourage at least a minimum of 3, if not once or twice a day if you can. Again, still don't, you know, start posting up a bunch of stuff and then not posting anything for weeks. You know, you don't want to disappear. You want to be consistent. So pretty similar to Facebook on that. And so, yeah, so like if you're watching the Oscars and you want to see what everyone is saying about it at the same time, you'll see Oscars. Exactly. So just a quick way to find a trending topic. If you type in on Instagram, say hashtag Oscars 2022, you'll find all the posts for that. And you use those on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter in your actual post. You can also put the hashtags in the comment, you know, your first comment on Instagram as well, either way. But usually in the post, like after you put your content, you would drop down and put your hashtags on there. So I think I'll have an example of that on the tool that I use. You'll see what it looks like. Coming up at the end of the show, almost towards the end of the show. So Twitter, right? So Twitter, 330 million users on Twitter. Demographic 35 to 65. So your upper millennials to your senior, you know, more Gen X probably in the middle. Definitely heavy more male than female on there. More business to business than any other tool out there compared to Instagram and Facebook. People do purchase still. You can see 40% still purchase on Twitter. Again, the market totally changed. Obviously, the platform, I should say, not the market, totally changed when we have the previous president using it as his main platform to tweet out and talk about what he's doing, good or bad. not plain indifference right here would be Switzerland, but it changed the way people use Twitter. I use Twitter mainly as a news source, especially breaking news source, because things happen on Twitter. If you follow politicians, reporters, you know, influencers, whoever you're following that are, you know, everybody's going quickly. So it's breaking news. They go to Twitter, right? Because it's quick. So I use it more for that, you know, for information than I would say for Facebook or Instagram, you know, for breaking news, because I'm just a news junkie of journalism background. So I always want to know what's going on at any given moment. So, you know, that's definitely changed the landscape of what was happening on Twitter. Like I said, good or bad. So Twitter now has jumped into the stories game, except they call it Twitter Fleets. So similar to Instagram and Facebook stories, except you wouldn't go on Twitter and you're not posting up your necessarily what you ate for dinner and you know, pictures with you as with a deer face or something that you would for fun on Instagram. So a little bit different, more, I would say probably the news outlets are using it more, definitely more business to business. I'm not entirely sold yet personally on the Twitter Fleets, just because it seems to be more of an Instagram and Facebook use than more the B2B use, but you know, it's fairly new, so we'll see what happens with it. And then again, Twitter, because mostly people, business, again, mostly during the week, Monday through Friday, most popular time to get engagement, middle of the day, lunch hour, worst days, the weekend. That definitely changed with COVID. When everybody was locked up at home, it didn't matter what day it was, right? Like I was called it any day, Friday, any day, Saturday. So that changed the landscape, but it's starting to get back to like that Monday through Friday, and less engagement and things happening on the weekdays. People are out and about. And if you do use Twitter, don't do this. Don't do this on the left, do this on the right. You can, whether you connect Instagram to Facebook or Instagram to Twitter, Twitter to whatever, there is a way you can connect them. I recommend not connecting any of them. I'll show you the tool at the end that makes it easy to publish. I know it's kind of makes it easy, like, oh, I'll just put it up on Instagram and then it will just automatically post to my Twitter and I don't have to worry about it. This is why I don't recommend doing it, is because of the user experience. Right? This is a winery client I started working with just around that time, and I saw their Instagram feed was all, or sorry, their Twitter feed was all pretty much Instagram content, brought over to Twitter, but the user experience for Twitter is not great. I don't want to have to leave my Twitter account to go click on a link to Instagram. I want to see everything right there as I'm scrolling through to save me time, right? You also have different hashtags you might use. You have less content on Twitter, right? 280 characters. You're not going to put your Instagram hashtags on Twitter. So you can't put links directly on Instagram where you can on Twitter. So separate them, disconnect, and I'll show you a tool that you can use to do that. So makes it easy. Snapchat, no longer the baby of the family now that the audio chat social platforms are out there, but it used to be the baby of the family. A lot of users, mostly in that younger market, young Gen Z and Gen Y, the millennials. Not so much, as you can see. Those older folks are not hanging out on Snapchat at all, not very much, not much to mostly women compared to men. It's like totally opposite of Twitter. And best times to post, kind of interesting, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. But generally users are on all day, any day of the week, if this is your market, Now, I think I saw somebody in the chat who said, I think they said they deal with adults and children. So for example, tutoring, say you have a tutoring business and, you tutor kids 12 to 18 is your market, right? Who would you market to, right? You would think, oh, the kids, right? Oh, they're on Instagram. No, it's really the parents, right? The kids aren't going to go, hey, mom, can you hire this tutor I saw on it, Snapchat or Instagram. It's the parents generally are going to be looking for it. So that's going to be the Gen X, maybe depending on the ages, boomers, upper millennials, So again, really like your market might be the younger one, but who is actually paying the bills? Who's going to buy your service or product, right? Of course, we do market to kids, of course, cartoons and movies and merchandising and all of that. But just, depends on your market. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is definitely more business to business. As you can see here. Number one, number two, Twitter, followed by Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if Google Plus is still around, not so much. SlideShare is mostly like a presentation, like PowerPoint online. Instagram, not so much. Pinterest, definitely not so much from the business to business. As you can see here, a lot of users on LinkedIn. It's no longer just a place where you go and drop your resume when you're looking for a job. I think that's how most of us encountered LinkedIn when it first came out. You put up your latest resume and what you do and looking for a job, and then you find it and then you abandon it until you find another job. Definitely a lot more networking and business being done on LinkedIn more than ever before. 55 million companies listed on this platform. So if you're primarily business to business, this is where you're going to want to go, not so much Instagram, male, female, a little bit more male than female, that 30 to 49. So millennials, you'll still have some Gen X. People age out of the business market, whether they're looking for jobs or retiring or they're retiring their business. So generally those upper that are already established, but you still do have the older audience there. 25% of LinkedIn are senior level influencers. So that's very important. So again, LinkedIn, it says it is the first most popular platform. We need to change that out for business to business, followed by Twitter. Facebook, not as much now, because a couple of years ago. And 52% of buyers list LinkedIn as the most influential channel during their research process, not just their buying process, but their research process if they're looking for a product or service. And now LinkedIn has stories. So they're the fourth one to jump on that bandwagon. Again, not going to be like, what did I have for dinner? And what did you do with your friends this weekend? Like you would put on Facebook or Instagram. Again, more business to business. Just another avenue to promote your business. LinkedIn stories. You can do LinkedIn posts as well. If you have your account there, business page or your profile, right? So something new. Best times to post, if you're posting, which you can post on there, generally in the morning, people just getting in and checking their mail, looking at LinkedIn, not so much on during the week, again, just similar to Twitter, not a weekend thing as much. And then how do you find leads on LinkedIn? All right, so I know I always get this question. So a couple of do's and don'ts, right? So do's here, keep your profile updated, right? Add connections to your network. Look at who viewed you. You can see, tells you in your notifications who's viewed you. See, check them out and connect if they didn't connect with you. Former clients, you can connect with them, connect to their connections of your first connections. Look at your connections. There's a lot of connections going on. Also, you can do searches by industry. If you're looking for a particular industry that you work with, maybe you're throwing it out there, say you're a speaking coach and you work a lot with lawyers, you can look up lawyers, law firms, and see if you can find people in the legal industry, legal business, and connect with them. Follow your current clients and prospects, of course. Write recommendations and ask for them as well. Make sure the recommendations are authentic, not like I'm just going to write you one, I don't do business with you, but make sure you're actively engaging in the network, not just like looking for people yourself, right? Join groups. There's a lot of groups in different industries. So say you're looking, I'm like, say, example, in the wine industry, so the wine industry related groups, if I'm looking to find winery owners or winery businesses to do business with, right? And then use LinkedIn to celebrate the accomplishment of others. Again, it's just about being engaged and out there. If somebody's work anniversary, usually, I noticed recently though, a lot of people, I'm sure if you're on Facebook and it's your birthday, you get all your friends and connections that are wishing you a happy birthday on Facebook. LinkedIn is increasingly a lot of birthday wishes. I was kind of surprised to see that on my birthday in May, that people are using that instead of Facebook to engage. It's just another way to engage on make brand awareness, right? And then the don'ts of growing your network. You only give because you expect to receive. You want to make sure you are definitely, it's reciprocal as well. Again, giving the recommendations as well as getting them, and posting and engaging in people's posts as well. You don't give it all. You don't want to do that. You wait until you have a need, and then you're like going out there desperate to get, help or find connections or get business. You forget where you are. Again, that's, you're on LinkedIn. This isn't Instagram or Facebook where you're going to post up your dog pictures and what you ate for dinner. You ignore the signs. That's basically means not paying attention to maybe influencers in your market. Who's out there, who you can connect with. You don't share anything. You don't care. That's the obvious. You ignore your team's network. If you have some team, look at who your team are connecting with. And then don't spam. Most importantly, this is a big one, right? If you're active on LinkedIn, I get a lot of connection requests. Usually it's people trying to sell me something as a marketing agency, right? They want latest, greatest services to build my business and get new clients and automate my business and whatever they want to sell me. So as soon as I connect, I get a message bot that pops up, right? Your auto message. Be very careful with that. Make sure you're targeting the right people. And I would connect personally. I don't use auto bots on LinkedIn. If I connect with anybody, I will send a personal message. Thank you for connecting with me. Set up ask for like a 15-minute coffee date, a virtual coffee date. Just say, hey, I would like to learn more about you and how I can help you, and vice versa. Would you like to chat for 15 minutes to set that up? I did that last year, I think once, and I got a bunch of people. We just connected and did a quick phone call, do a Zoom call, and learn about each other. You never know who that person's connected with. It's not just like, hey, can this person give me business and I can give them? Maybe somebody they know. They always say the person in front of you is one step away from your client. So I'm always about networking and connecting, because you just never know who that person's connected with. So I'll give you an example. This isn't really a networking social media thing, but obviously I teach these classes. I taught a class for a local chamber. Somebody from that chamber was in that class, was for another organization that's a women's business center. They invited me to speak. Somebody from that attended and we connected. He's also marketing, and he just invited me to participate in a city contract. So if I didn't do that class and network and keep on networking, I wouldn't have potentially made that connection to get on a city contract that I'll hopefully know about tomorrow. So you never know. So use this as a networking tool to connect to people, but don't always look at everybody as your direct person that's going to purchase from you, because you never know who can open doors for you. So, and then definitely don't spam. People don't like to get those auto messages that are kind of impersonal. So try to connect with them directly. Makes sense. And be reciprocal always. Right. And then make sure if you have a business, make sure you're setting up a business page. So in addition to your profile, keep that fresh and up to date. Make sure you're using your company page or setting up a company page. You can post engaging, relevant content, LinkedIn stories as well. It makes your company name known out there. Add LinkedIn groups to your page as well, because that will have more people see it. Tag people in your posts. So if it's something that, hey, I went to this event with so-and-so, maybe so-and-so will also grab it and share that with their to their connections as well. And there also, you can use LinkedIn hashtags just like you would with Instagram, Facebook, etc. And then should you pay for LinkedIn? I always get that question as well. Sure, you can. There's different types of LinkedIn opportunities you can purchase. If you're looking just for a job, you have the basic LinkedIn premium career, $30 a month. Of course, most of those are probably in business. You probably won't need the recruiter light either if you're not a recruiter. So the two in the middle, premium business versus Sales Navigator Pro. So that you can see here, it does give you some more features for the basic premium career. You get to inbox in mail 5 messages per month. So you don't have to be connected to that person to actually directly contact them. So that's more of like for application salary. But for premium business, you get additional information on the businesses and unlimited people searches. The Navigator Pro will give you more advanced search filters, and the ability to make notes on user profiles and make more connections. So if you really use it as a sales tool, you can use Sales Navigator Pro, give you a little bit more features than you would just on the free version that most of us have. So I would look into it. If this is your market, this is your place to find your clients, you might want to look into getting Sales Navigator Pro. I don't sell LinkedIn, doesn't matter if you buy it or not. I share what the differences are, and you can decide if they work for you. I know a lot of people who use Sales Navigator Pro for their business quite successfully. They get most of their business from LinkedIn. So YouTube, of course, video, right? So YouTube has 2 billion users worldwide, mostly 18 to 44-year-olds, mostly men compared to women. Businesses do use YouTube to post video content, very important. This is where you put those long form videos, those how-to videos, your product videos, things like that, longer interviews. But you do want to put it because it is searchable. People do discover new brands and products on YouTube. So it's important to have that on there. Best times to post, kind of interesting, noon to 4, 9 to 11 on the weekends. People are posting and viewing more towards the end of the week and on the weekends for videos. Not that you couldn't post it up at midnight, but these are when people generally are posting and viewing. And then Pinterest, this is an interesting one too. So a lot of users, generally the millennial age, in the middle is the average users, even though there are older users in that. And this has dropped the demographic. 6 out of 10 Pinterest users are female. It just recently dropped from the 2019 from 7 out of 10. So it used to be like 10 out of 10 when Pinterest first started, because I think it was mostly women talking about marriage, weddings, babies, home decor, all that stuff. And then as it started to get monetized, I think more men started coming on there and expanding on the topics. But the number one Pinterest use is for home design inspiration. And I'll show you all of them here. It's an interesting one too. 77% of weekly pinners have discovered a new brand or product on Pinterest, but it's in the discovery phase, right? So 97% of searches carries out on Pinterest are unbranded. So they're not necessarily looking for particular brands, or looking for just particular product or a service, but during the discovery phase, so not necessarily ready to buy phase. So that was an interesting stat that came up. And then the top category is number 1, again, home design, women's fashion, health and fitness, followed by the rest. Again, and you can use these depending on your business. They may not make sense for everybody. Example, when I worked at the credit union, I was the email marketing manager there, but I was the only female at the time in the marketing department, and said like, hey, take over Pinterest. And somebody had started it. So with the credit union, we're focusing on our members and money, right? So hopefully saving money. So we used all of these categories, how to save money on your wedding reception, how to save money at the grocery store, how to do home decor on a budget, it was all, whatever these were, all of these tied into the credit union in some way when it came to money, right? So if it works for you, food, maybe a restaurant or a winery, if there's any here, you could do, travel, what travel posts based on where you're located, obviously food and drink. So a lot of different ways that Pinterest could potentially work for you. It is definitely still very popular. And again, generally worst days are during the week. Most of the time they're online in the evening, maybe when they have time to sit and pin and repin. So best days on the weekend. So interesting. And these are some examples of some posts. Oops, sorry, I have a really sensitive mouse. There we go. I pulled these from some past attendees of some of my classes. Narwhal, it's a glow in the dark cooler. What I liked, I just grabbed some random ones that there's similar time frames, July, August, September of that year. And what I liked about the content was it was a good mix. Obviously they show a picture of their product, glowing in the dark, but they also show the product in use. I could take it to the beach, or I could take it rock climbing. It doesn't necessarily have to be out glowing in the dark all the time, because it's an outdoor product as well. They focus on Labor Day, when Planet went outdoors, outdoor responsibly. There's their hashtag. And then here's another one, Tobacco Motorwear. It's a local motorcycle gear company out here in LA area. And different types of posts as well around the same time. They have the video is the guy on the motorcycle on the left showing him in the jeans, a woman wearing the jacket, a fun little Valentine's Day one with the woman on the front, which I like. And then a humorous one about Tinder game strong. And then, of course, to get reach, right? To get that reach, they have posts that have engagement. So here we have, what bike does Santa ride? Ask a question. And you can see here they had 52 comments, 27 reactions. I covered up the shares, but probably not really a share thing. But people posted up pictures of them on their bikes in a Santa costume or their red bike or whatever. Here's another one. What song best describes this image? And then they had, again, 31 comments, 25 reactions. So they got engagement on these, just by asking questions, that's related to their business, of course. Here's another one. This is a jewelry designer out in this area. Um, and what I like about her, a lot of jewelry designers out there. She makes her own jewelry, beautiful, kind of handmade look to them, artisan jewelry. But what I like about her and her social media is it's about her, right? This is about her and her family. She shares what's happening with her and her family, her naughty little pug up on the table. It's kind of like mine. And when you hear snoring, looks like that. But also sharing her jewelry. And again, to get engagement, she didn't necessarily ask a question, but she showed the stack rings. And then her customers showed their stack rings. That's the kind of engagement that you want to get, on there. A good mix, because, not everybody's going to share their family story, but that's part of her brand is her family, and what she does for her family. So there's a little story behind it, right? So going live, why go live for your business? Well, especially this last year and a half, a lot of us were forced to, right? Some people already did lives, but a lot of us were forced to because we couldn't be in person. We had to reach our audience via live, right? So different uses for live. You can demo a product, launch a product. You can host a Q&A or interview. I've done Instagram live video or interviews with a couple people. You can highlight events, offer a sale, you do behind the scenes, right? But make sure you're doing it right. You want to plan out as much as you can ahead of time. Sometimes they're spontaneous, but you want to make sure you plan it out. Promote it beforehand. Like, hey, I'm doing a live interview, next, tomorrow, stay tuned. You want to just make sure that you're also doing sound checks, lighting checks. So if you plan to do it outside, even the slightest breeze can sound like a gale force wind, so you want to be mindful that do a test. Don't do a live test, but just, use your video recording on your phone, do a quick little recording where you're going to do it, talk, make sure it's not noisy, make sure the lighting looks okay, check it out before you go live. And make sure you're saving it later to share it. So different reasons to use live. And it's interesting, the dynamic with going live. We've all had to adapt to Zoom. I had used Zoom before the pandemic for meetings and things, not like we do now. I did live workshops. But we had to adapt to going on Zoom and going live. And a lot of people are a little afraid of it. It's different than being in front of a live audience. It's like when you ask somebody to be on camera, on video, they freak out. They think, oh, it's like acting. I have to have a script. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to trip over myself. So it's really interesting to see the dynamic when it comes to live. But just imagine that you're in front of a group, depending on how comfortable you are with it, but script it out a little bit. If you're one of those who's a little afraid of tripping over yourself, have a little, a script or maybe a couple of words just to keep you on a prompt, like a teleprompter type thing. And there is actually teleprompter apps that I found because I had to live read a speech that I was giving for an event as a president of a chapter. And there's teleprompter apps to help you go through it, to have it scroll as you're watching it. So watching the camera and watching the teleprompter at the same time. Very interesting. So different uses for lives. And let's see here. Definitely Facebook Live back in favor. Increased last year by 27% on Facebook, probably because of the pandemic. And it's definitely continue as people are more comfortable with it and more familiar with it, And then Instagram stories and Facebook stories. I talked about these already, but why do you use them over a post, right? Again, you can promote a product launch on it, demo a product on it, different than live video, of course, highlight events, behind the scenes. And the reason people like them is it feels more authentic. They do get better organic reach than posts. And, when I talk about authentic, it's like a lot of the Facebook posts, especially these last 5 or 6 years with the elections and fake news and manipulated content. We don't see that as much with stories. So users, your fans see it more as authentic. And also why it gets better organic reach is the location, right? It always stays above the fold at the top of the page, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. it's always, as you'd see here, my desktop or my mobile device, it's always at the top, right? So it doesn't scroll through like your news feed does, you know. Very important. A lot of users, 500 million users of stories. And here's Instagram, same thing, right? It's at the top of the page, always, whether it's a mobile device or your desktop. Again, stories, you can do a lot of different things with them than you can on a post, you know, as well. A lot of 600 million users, right? Because they're the first one to have them. They're ahead of the game with everybody else. And then Facebook groups. So back in late 2019, I think is when this was, Zuckerberg said, hey, you know, because of privacy violations, again, the fake news, manipulated content, Mark Zuckerberg decided to come out and say, the future is private, right? So now they've been really pushing groups. I've even seen commercials for groups because they have a feeling of privacy. It compared to being on your news feed. Obviously, you're in a closed community, right? And necessarily private because you might be in a group of 50,000 people, you know, of people of a similar interest, not necessarily totally private, but at least, hey, it's maybe something that you don't want to talk about on your news feed. You have curated content in that particular topic. So it's definitely been focusing more on groups lately because they feel like, okay, it's not going to be the manipulated content that you normally would have on Facebook. Not that they necessarily are stopping that, they're trying. So a lot of people using groups, 1.4 billion people using 10 million groups, a lot of, compared to when they first started, right? Maybe joined a couple groups and then kind of forgot about them. So this is an example. So this is a Facebook page, right? You probably all have a Facebook page for your business. This is a Erin Condren Designs. They do a life planner, and they manage their own page, right? Of course, and they put up their own content and have people engage with that content, right? But what they're lucky, and not all of us would be as lucky, is they have brand ambassador created groups. They don't have their own group. They have their users, their customers have created groups. So they have different groups depending on, you know, they have Erin Condren Newbies, my Erin Condren Simple, which is basically the people who don't like to put all the stickers and everything on their planner. They have marketplaces. So curated content from their brand ambassadors, people talking about buying the products, how are you using it, you know, so it's helping them, right? Because they're talking about the latest product and sales going on. But you can use a group, again, start your own group. We're not always lucky to have our customers create groups for us, but you can use it to discuss current events, build your community, you know, communicate with your brand ambassadors, communicate with your customers, make it exclusive, you know, say wineries can have wine club member group, you know, definitely if it makes sense for your business and your topic, you know, maybe if you're a business coach or life coach, maybe you have a group with your customers, your clients, that they can join in and, you know, share. My business coach I had a few years ago, she has a Facebook group where we all can communicate and share and, you know, probably have the same problems and issues. So you can use it for different things. But if you do start a group, make sure naming the group, it's important, especially for search. You know, example here, Bengal Cat Club. It's pretty easy. It's called the Bengal Cat Club. You know, instead of Bootsy's Fun Adventures, you know, and Bootsy's a Bengal cat. No one's going to know Bootsy, right? So make sure your naming convention makes sense for search on Facebook so somebody can find it based on the topic, you know, maybe even it pops up on Google as well. You're welcome, Gabriella, and you'll get the recording. No, she already left here, but thank you for attending. And you will, if anybody has to leave, you'll get the entire class on recording as well. So please stay till the end. So influencer marketing, we did have one influencer here. I think we were talking from the school. So what is influencer marketing? What's the benefit of it, right? If you can't create your own content, you know, maybe somebody else can create it for you other than, you know, hiring a social media manager. Influencers that can help you create content, drive engagement, and hopefully drive traffic to your site, you know, or your landing page to create sales. You know, that's basically what influencers do, right? I mean, here's Kim Kardashian, one of the celebrity influencers out there. Maybe, I don't know, one of the first, but, way out of our budget, but, good or bad or indifferent, those influencers are used to hype products, right? Or services. Here's maybe a guy visiting a winery as a wine influencer. All right. And then, what do consumers, they care about what influencers are saying or doing? Well, some, 20% of women will consider purchasing products supported by influencers. Consumers do trust them, some consumers. Conversions can increase 3 to 10 times when brands share content through influencers in their industry. Right. The different levels of influencers, your smallest one, your micro, 1 to 100,000 followers, 1,000, I should say 100,000. They have a good reach, smaller, but they create a lot of content because they have time, they have less people. Macro, 100,000 plus. They do have more reach, but maybe less often engagement. And then, of course, your celebrities, your Kim Kardashians, 1 million plus, deeper pockets are needed, obviously. They might not get as much engagement and are creating as much content. Like one post, you're done, there's $1 million. I don't know what they charge for celebrity influencers, but, I can imagine it's up there. Let's see, I'm looking at the questions here. So yes, Judith, answering your question, and here you go. How do marketers typically find influencers for campaigns? So if you're not looking for the Kim Kardashians of the world, you can reach out to influencers directly. Find them in your space. Do some searches, say on Instagram, and say food, for example, foodie. Influencers, you may find them that way. Some might reach out to you directly, depending on your business and what you're doing. There are influencer marketer platforms. There's agencies for them, talent management companies. So that might be what you call your ordinary influencer. That wouldn't be a Kim Kardashian. So yeah, I had been in contact with one. It was just before the pandemic, that only worked with wine industry influencers. I was going to connect with him and lost track after the pandemic started. But there might be some, just Google, influencer agencies and see what they, how they operate, and costs and all that. And next slide here, what you're looking for. It could be the cost. It might be the level of engagement, the quality of their content. Make sure you're paying attention to somebody who has a similar aesthetic to you. So if you're, to give you an example, I have a winery brand. They're very dark, black, heavy metal attitude, that, think Metallica, but they wouldn't hire somebody who's a bubblegum pink, aesthetic influencer, right? Where their branding is totally different than my client's branding. So you want to pay attention to the look and feel of that influencer. So hopefully that helps, but you can find, influencer agencies and platforms that way. And then how do I grow my social media following? I know, I wish there was some magic sprinkle dust, some miracle grow, some unicorn sprinkles, whatever, but no, there isn't any of that. It's all just being organic, right? Being regular and consistent, speak to your market, have that clear brand voice and brand identity. Like my heavy metal client they have a very clear voice and brand identity. It's different than any of my other clients that, their voice is totally different. So being authentic to yourself, and having that, and if you have multiple people doing your social media, make sure you're all speaking the same voice, the same brand identity. Your 17-year-old nephew you hired to do your social media, his voice might be different than your brand. So make sure he's, not using language that would relate to 17-year-olds if your market's 40 plus, as an example. Not the best person to hire for your social media, by the way. I've seen that done. Doesn't usually work out. Match the message and format to the proper network. Again, disconnecting those, Instagram to Twitter posts, make sure you match the correct, formats to the right network. Include your social media follow buttons everywhere. Put them on your website, put them on in your store. If you have a store, make sure the links work. If they're on your website, put them in your emails, make sure the links work. Sometimes they default to the stock, facebook.com. Follow influencers and share their content. Again, being reciprocal. You want to follow the right people that are in your particular niche of your market. Respond to your followers. Make sure you're engaging with them as well, using the hashtags as we discussed, and make it easy for others to share your content. And again, using your stats, go look under the hood and see what are people responding to, what are they liking, what posts, and then kind of lather, rinse, repeat, right? And here are some things not to do. This is Facebook related. Engagement baiting. I still see a lot of this going on, but Facebook doesn't like it. They want authentic reach. They want authentic engagement, right? So these are some things you don't want to do with yours. So comment baiting, where you say in the comment, in this case, they actually were pretty blatant about it, telling you why this is why you do it, right? It says, I have 500 friends, and I'm assuming you're seeing this post. Well, probably only about 3%, but it's not friends necessarily, it's your likers. Anything will work. Just please comment and not like. Liking alone will not affect Facebook's algorithm, but commenting will. It's actually telling you how to engagement bait, right? So you don't want to do this. You don't want to get people just to comment to get your engagement up. You don't want to do tag baiting, like tag 10 friends to win this contest. Unless those 10 friends really were interested in this jewelry thing, Facebook doesn't want to see this either. They want to see people who really are wanting to engage in this and get tagged in it. And then like baiting, say, hey, just like if you agree. Again, that's engagement baiting. Vote baiting, using the reactions to garner votes. You thumbs up if you like grilled cheese now and then. Again, that's getting inauthentic engagement. And then share baiting, share with 10 friends for a chance to win. Again, inauthentic. Unless your 10 friends are really interested in a makeup giveaway, don't do this. And then this is a big one, contest like gating. So this was probably around 2014-ish when I was at the credit union. This came about. We're running a contest. You can't say, in order to enter, like us, or like, share, follow, give us a drop of your blood, and give us the name of your firstborn child, and then you can enter the win the contest. No. You can do it after the fact. They enter to win, and at the end you can say, hey, while you're here, you like our page. But you can't gate it, force them to like you in order to enter to win. I still see this. They could potentially pull down your contest, if they see that you force somebody to like it or engage with you in some way in order to enter that contest. You don't want to make it difficult. I've seen those where it's like, I have to like their page, I have to like another page's page, I have to follow them, I have to create a video, literally firstborn child and a drop of blood. Why make it so difficult for people to give you their information? As soon as I see that, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do all of that. And what if you already like that second person's page? Does that not get you in the contest? It's too complicated. So avoid those. Don't forget Google My Business. Very important to use Google My Business. I'm kind of switching off the other social media, but this is social media as well. In a way you can post with Google My Business as well. This is one of my restaurant client here in California. I just did an organic search, Darrow's New Orleans Grill. On the left, you have the search engine results page. On the right is the Google My Business, chopped into 3 parts. Pretty much all you need to know about the business is on the Google My Business page, right? You have the website directions. You don't really need to reserve a table. It's automatically there. They're fast casual, has their location, their delivery apps are on here, a Q&A questions, their reviews, their Facebook and social media profiles, linked on there, everything you need on here to find them. And this is how people can engage with your business as well. Even if you don't have a storefront, you can have a Google My Business. You can hide your address. If you work from home or whatever, you don't want your address posted, still have a Google My Business page, because this will help with search engine results as well. And then of course you want to not ignore feedback, very important. On here too, if you do have a business that gets reviews, to make sure you're looking at it and not ignore it. People think that Yelp is mostly 3 stars and below that people just use it to complain. It's actually 3 stars and above. So make sure you're paying attention to your reviews on there and respond to them as well. People do want to hear back from you. And you should use it as a learning experience. If you're getting bad reviews, maybe you need to adjust something in your business. Hopefully you're going to get all good reviews, but be mindful of it. And this is interesting. If customers don't like you, they may not like your product, or customers may not really like your product, but if they like you, they may still buy. This came up in a wine industry conference where they had a panel of users, of wine customers, and they talked about, well, you know, I didn't really like the wine as much, but we bought it because they were really nice people, you know, and they said, oh, we'll give it to friends, you know, so the people influence them to purchase it. But also too, if they don't like you or somebody at your business, they may not like your product. You know, in a case of a restaurant where you're sitting there eating your food, of course, they're already buying your product, but like a tasting room, they say they might have gone to the tasting room, but you know, that guy behind the counter serving them, Michael, maybe he's a wanker and he turned them off so much they don't buy the product. So be mindful if you do get these reviews, you know, or comments, pay attention to them because maybe you need to adjust something. And it can affect, you know, your business. So my client, I mentioned earlier, Darrow's, now they don't always they get a lot of 5-star reviews. I will admit, it's not just they're only 5 stars. Before the pandemic, these came up, of course, just the year before. The one thing I circled here, as I mentioned with Maya Angelou, is people will remember how you made them feel, right? And when you go into Darrow's, you'll see this across their reviews. You make you feel like family. Welcome to the family. It felt like family. They say hello family when you come in. It's all about family. They like the food as well, but pay attention to their culture. This is what they cultivate there at the restaurant. You walk in that door, you know, hello family. You of course, pre-pandemic, it's been mostly closed. They just reopened their inside recently, but you go in there and you're having a bad day, you'll leave like having a good day. You know, you get to know all of the patrons. I don't know how that works, where you're actually talking to all the patrons by the end of the day, but they make those connections, you know, and that's what they cultivate, and it shows in their reviews. When they don't have that, it shows in their reviews, you know, when they're not cultivating that. And this to show you, just I didn't game the system with their Yelp reviews. You can see here their Google reviews, their Facebook reviews, all about the same, 4.5, 4.6 and above, you know. And you don't want to do this with Yelp. You don't want to argue with your customers or write back in any negative way. You know, respond back that, hey, you know, why don't you come face to face and talk to us instead of engaging on a social media platform? This particular salon owner didn't get it. Customer was bleeding. These are 2 different incidences. The one on the left, I don't have the actual Yelp review, but it was pretty similar to the one on the right, where they actually were bleeding and hurt and were just trying to say, hey, you know, I'm complaining about that, but the owner was just kind of making it like, well, they could have done it a different way and not turned off, because I wouldn't have gone back to the salon if I saw these reviews. So I want to be careful about publicly arguing with people, your customers. You know, and this is an interesting one too. It's like how a bad website can hurt your business. 2 totally unrelated things. I know the winery, I actually used to work with them, but I saw this review before I worked with them where their website was really old. It was like circa 1997 or something. It had an order form you had to download to place an order. That's how old it was. But this particular post came in, or review that said, hey, you know, we visited, but their website looked old and I hope they pay more attention to their wine. Their wine maker has nothing to do with their webmaster or their website. Totally different, not related, but they did relate it. It's like if your front of house doesn't look good, are they going to not want to eat your food? You know, curb appeal, kind of things like that. So be very mindful that, again, having your brand consistent across the board and everything looking consistent and up to date could turn people off if it doesn't, you know, from your product. Again, 2 totally unrelated things, you know. So calendar, and I'm just going to stop here for a quick second. I know, I think Sam is still in here. I may go over. I hope that's okay. Sam, I don't recall if it did have the 2 hour. Usually it will still go over. So if I do happen to go over and you have a hard stop at noon, I'll record the whole thing and then you'll get the full recording. So I just wanted to mention that if it does stop at 10, you'll at least get the slides, or stop at noon or 3 o'clock, it will go. So I'll just keep going. Hopefully that you can all stick around. I've got some extra things going on here, but this one thing here, the calendar, most important. So if you recall from that, my business strategy circle, my marketing strategy circle, the steps 1 through 5 or 1 through 4. And I said, you know, if you don't do those steps 1 through 4, and skip right to step 5, which I hope you don't do, this one thing here should help you get over that marketing overwhelm. I hear it all the time. I don't know what to post. I don't know what to email. I don't have anything to say. I only do 1 promotion a month, and then after that, I don't know what to talk about, right? So hopefully this calendar, I'm going to show you, and you will get to download it as well once you get the recording and slides. Use my calendar, or use whatever calendar you want. Just use something, and it will help take away the overwhelm. So my calendar is a simple Excel file, so you can use Excel or upload it to Google Sheets if you want as well. But it's very simple to use. I'll show you what a sample page looks like. And all this will be on there for you. So I will have all the traditional holidays on there, and also non-traditional, which from nationaldaycalendar.com, you'll see those as well. So National Hot Dog Day or National Bring Your Kitten to Work Day. And I'll show you why those are important. It might not make sense right now, but it's important going back to reach and engagement, right? All seasonal promotional opportunities as well. I'll have plugged in there kind of the generic ones everybody would kind of use: Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that. If you're a tax accountant, for example, your tax season might be your seasonal promotional time. You know, December through April, I guess, would be your tax season. Hashtag days on there as well. So you'll have, you know, Wine Wednesday, Fitness Friday, Motivation Monday, all of those hashtags. Events that you do. So you want to plug those in if you have events on-site, off-site, or virtual. And then, of course, once you do this calendar, you'll be able to sync your email and social media posts on your calendar. So I am going to show you how the calendar works and what you get on my calendar. So there'll be a tab that's called hashtag days. So I plugged in all the generic hashtag days for you. So you can go on, look at Monday and go, okay, we're going to use Monday motivation, or Monday muse, manic Monday, marketing Monday, and plug those into the calendar. So you'll get that page. And then you'll have on the left a tab with content ideas. And again, that's all about building engagement. So ask a question like, remember Tobacco Moto Wear is like, hey, what bike does Santa ride? You can do quotes, you can do infographics, money saving tips, events. There's a lot of different ideas. The beige part on the right is just going to be on the slide. It's actually not on the Excel file. Just the side, the one on the left is. Just pasted it there for some extra ideas for you. And then I also went and plugged in all of the National Day Calendar holidays for you. So you don't have to go to nationaldaycalendar.com. Every month of the year will have its own tab with all of the holidays that you will go and plug in yourself. So for example, the April 2nd is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. So why would you want to use that, right? So you could use it a good engagement, like what bike does Santa ride? You can say, you know, most of us as kids probably ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches quite a bit. You could say, what was your favorite peanut butter and jelly combination? Or what did you like to eat with your peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And a lot of adults probably will answer that question, you know, might not relate to your business, but it gets engagement as well. So plug in the ones that you want to do posts around. This is mostly for social media, obviously. And now I don't know if there are any wineries in the audience, might be. But there's two, you're going to see when you get the page with the downloads, there's two different versions of the calendar. It's going to say winery version and non-winery version. And the only difference between the two, the winery version has holidays on there that nationaldaycalendar.com didn't have, like National Merlot Day, International Tempranillo Day. So I went and put all of the winery ones on the wine version. And if you sell wine, but don't sell Merlot, just strip off International Merlot Day. So that's the only difference between the two. So you're going to plug in your own extra holidays on your calendar. So I'll show you that now. So this is what the calendar page looks like. Again, Excel format, easy to use, color coded. Again, use whatever works for you. I keep it simple. I don't use any online tools for this because I don't want my clients to have to worry about having another online app or any of my attendees. Use it, it works. If you're going to use it with multiple people, make sure that you put it up on like Google Drive so you share it and are not like sharing it back and forth via email, because then you might lose which version is most up to date. So starting with, the red is the holidays. So that's going to be your traditional, like Thanksgiving or Veterans. And then the non, this one is National Donut Day. We're going to promote Wine Tourism Days on Saturday, International Merlot Day. So we have a couple of holidays in here. And then email campaigns are that orange. I'll show you how that works. Events are green, blog posts in baby blue, and then social posts in the darker blue, right? So you're going to see the calendar. It's going to be pretty stripped down. You'll have the traditional holidays on there if there are any that month. But everything else will be relatively blank unless it's an event like Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. Call that kind of an event more so, say, than a holiday or something, but something you're going to promote. Right, so you're going to add all of this into your calendar. So we'll start with, I'm going to go right to social media posts since that's what we're talking about. In this particular instance, it's a winery. So we're going to promote 4 different hashtag days each week. Tasting Room Tuesday, Wine Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Fruity Friday. So start plugging in those hashtag days first. Right. We're also going to do ask a question on the 14th. I'm going to find an inspirational quote for the 23rd. We're also going to do social media posts for the holidays, Thanksgiving Day, Veterans Day, social media posts for Black Friday, Shop Small, Cyber Monday. The Merlot 3-pack day or Merlot Day, we'll do one for our 3-pack special. We're going to run Wine Tourism Day. We'll do a post. So you can see here, I already have, more than my one per week, right? I can do one almost at least once a week here, right? Except maybe not so much on the weekends. So we have all those plugged in there. Now what you want to do is like, what are you going to post, right? You actually have to think of the content for all of these, right? What am I going to post on a Wine Wednesday or Foodie Friday? So on the 18th, you'll see here, I drop down a line. I go, okay, for that particular Wine Wednesday, I'm going to do a Merlot tasting video. So maybe I already have a Merlot video created or I have to create one, but that's what I'm going to plug in. So I drop that in there to remind me of what the post is. So same thing, say for Foodie Fridays, right? So the 6th, I can say, well, I'll do a Chardonnay and taco pairing. It'd be kind of weird. The 13th, we'll do Zinfandel and pulled pork. And the 20th, we'll do Merlot and fish pairing. So I would also, just like I did on the 18th, drop a line and put those pairings on there. So that reminds me, oh, okay, I got to go pull the content, find the link to the recipe, create the post and all of that. Say ask a question on the 14th. I'm going to do, it's Thanksgiving month. Okay, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish will be my question. Plug that in there. Inspirational quote, maybe it's one about giving thanks for Thanksgiving. So you want to drop that on there for planning purposes, but also this will be for archival purposes, right? To remind you, easy place to go back and go, oh, okay, November, I did that Merlot tasting video already. I'm not going to repeat it in March, for example. So dropping all of that in there, again, still have to create all the posts, but this will at least lay out, get your plan in place for these posts. And as far as emails, emails work a little bit differently. Obviously, we're promoting some different things here. Thanksgiving wine sale. We're going to do some email for the Merlot 3-pack special. We're also doing posts on each day for Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. So we plan those out. We plug those in. The Thanksgiving wine sale works where, since we have, we know what day Thanksgiving is, and we want the wine to ship, get there before Thanksgiving, we work backwards. So our last possible day to ship wine will be November 18th. So we know the last time we can email is the 17th, like final day, get your wine before Thanksgiving, bye, right? And then back it up a week, send it out once per week for about a month before. So the first one was probably the last week in October. And then the other email events, Merlot 3-pack, that we setting out for Merlot Day on the 7th. We probably ran it through the 8th, and ran it for 2 days. Excuse me. And then we did individual emails for Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday, different deals we ran. So planning it all out on the calendar, definitely, as you can see here, lays it out. Again, still got to create all the content for this, but this at least gets it on paper so that you can see what it is you need to do, and get ready for posting, or somebody you hire needs to get it done, whoever's doing it for you. So hopefully this calendar makes sense. It will help take away that overwhelm of what to post. Typically, as far as planning out the year, what I do with my clients, I usually would start planning in, say, late October, November. I would sit with them, in person or online, and look at the calendar for the coming year. And, this past year is a little different because of the pandemic. A lot of events and things weren't happening, but we know moving forward, are any events we're participating in? Are there any holidays that we want to promote? Are there any promotions that we're doing? Plan out as much as I can with them. And then I take over the calendar from there and plug in all of the content from there, because I typically do full brand management. They don't do their own social media posts. But I say get this done before the end of the year. So don't wait until January to plan out 2022, because usually right after the holidays, we're all in a holiday coma, right? For like January for most of the month. And then it's like already Valentine's Day. So I usually have most of the calendar wrapped up for the coming year before even Christmas comes along, right? So I used to do my new calendar every October and get it out to everybody by middle of October. This year, I am just about done. I'm going to have it out this month. So by the end of August, I will, if you're on my email list and you want this calendar every year, stay on my list and you'll get the brand new calendar moving forward. So you don't have to recreate it yourself, but you'll get it by the end of August instead of October, and really start thinking about, you'll get 2021, of course, right now, today, but 2022 will come by the end of the month if you're on my email list. And start planning out, when you get this calendar, start planning out the holidays right now. Don't wait until October. Start planning out now, August, September. You want to get ready for that and start plugging all these in here and planning out your content. It does take a little time to plan that out. So hopefully that calendar makes sense. And if it doesn't, ask me questions. It should. And then, like I said, once you're getting on calendar, you can then coordinate your campaigns, right? You can easily then create your graphics for your email on the left and your Instagram post on the right. Right. We know it's National Cabernet Sauvignon Day, and let's get all of our marketing materials synced up together on that calendar. So this makes it easier, hopefully, for you. Again, still have to create the graphics, but so we are over time. I'm going to keep going as long as everybody's okay with keeping on going. I have a little bit more left here. I'm going to talk about a couple tools I use at the end to help maybe make creating those posts and posting them up easier. But you will get the recording if you do need to drop off. So, but I will keep going here. So ads. I always get this question, like, why should I do Google versus social? I'll say social ads, because Facebook and Instagram are together now. And what's the difference between them, right? So Google is all about user intent, right? People search for things that they're looking for right then and there. Facebook or social media ads is all about, say, personalities and behaviors, right? It's brand awareness, right? And sending that brand awareness to people who are in your demographic, but it's not something that's like, hey, I need it right now, right? So Facebook versus Google. Paid social ads, it reaches audiences based on location, interests, behaviors, and demographics, where Google Ads is paid search. What are people searching for? It's based on specific keywords that they're looking for, right? User intent. So we all know what Google looks like. Somebody typed in restoration contractor, and you have some paid results that came up because they paid for restoration contractor, and then your organic search results, right? People aren't paying for it, but they have restoration contractor in their title, in their URL, in their description. That matches for this particular search, right? That's typical Google search. Facebook has 1.5 billion active users, right? But 3.5 billion searches are done per day. Might not be searching for what you're selling, but maybe. And then the cost per click, the cost on it. So social media ads, I keep saying Facebook ads, but also Instagram. Cost per click or cost per action, about average of $19, where you can see for AdWords, about $50. If you're insurance, it is the top cost per click at $55 per click. And you could see here across the board, generally Google's gonna be a little bit more, in some cases, fairly close, similar. Obviously consumer services, if people have an immediate intent to buy something, it's going to cost more than just kind of like, oh, they might be interested based on them liking, a particular product or service, right? And audience targeting, totally different. You can do more audience targeting because we give more information out on Facebook, right? We know what we like, our behaviors, or our relationship status, parental status. So the person here who the school works with schools, you could do Facebook ads targeting parents of kids between the ages of 13 and 17. They're more specific age demographics. But if you're targeting, toddlers versus teenagers, you can do those type of demographics as well. So a little bit more compared to Google Ads, where you can do location, some relevant keywords, a little bit of demographics as well, just depending on what information's out there, but more on social media than you can on Google, right? And of course, the audience network is a little bit different, or the place that you have the ads. Obviously, Facebook and Instagram, Messenger, their audience network, versus obviously Google search. YouTube is part of Google display networks across the board. So a little bit different locations, depending on where your audience is. And so Facebook ads, building brand awareness, growing your audience, and anything new and innovative. So that might be something that they don't know what to search for, but it might be something that on social media could take off. Versus Google, which is immediate sales and leads, and products and services with a high buying intent during search. For example, my air conditioning breaks, it's 100 degrees outside. Where am I going? Going to Google, looking for the nearest HVAC repairman, right? Not going to Facebook to go see if I can find somebody to deal with my air conditioning. Maybe I go to Facebook and I go to my local groups and go, anybody have a recommendation for an HVAC repair person? But generally I'm going to go straight to Google and try to find that right away. All right. Immediate intent. Different types of ads. Obviously, we do video ads, carousel ads, multi-picture ads, right? Shopping ads. You can tag shopping things in your posts now, right? If you sell products directly. And then boost versus ads. So this question always comes up. Should I boost my posts or not? It really depends on what you're trying to do. I don't usually do boost because you're really just driving more engagement for that one particular post, right? So if that's what you're trying to do, then that could work, but really ads are going to get you more. You can do more with ads, right? They can go more platforms. You can do more targeting on it. They can be delivered through different, like I said, Facebook's, Instagram, all that, rather than just getting more engagement on that one particular post. Facebook made it just easy right? For anybody to buy ads, right? That's their bread and butter to survive. So they wanted you just to hit that button, boost it, put a few little demographics, credit card, and you're done. You know, Facebook Ads Manager does take a little bit more effort. You know, it's not difficult, but it does take more effort. But that's why they basically did it. I call it just cheap candy. It will drive some more engagement for that one post. It might, you know, work for some posts if you're trying to, like, here's a sale that we're doing, but I would still do those as ads because you have more opportunity to do those. Yes, and Julie, I'll include you. Sorry, it's not Julie, Julio. I'll include you in it. I'll make sure I'll get your email information. And Facebook ads definitely are the most popular still, but ads can be expensive. So make sure you know what you're doing, especially with Google ads. Don't do a DIY on that. Find somebody who knows what they're doing with Google ads, because the algorithms change so often and they can be complicated. And if you set one thing off wrong, your ads might not display, but it'll keep charging you money. So be very mindful of that. You know, just be very careful. There's a lot of people out there doing ads who don't know what they're doing. I've seen some really bad ads set up. So be very careful. There we go. Okay, so we're almost at the end, promise. We're getting almost done here. 2 digital tools that I love and use on a daily basis for social media ad creation and social media posting. So this will be just at the end of it. Some of you might already know about this tool. Anybody never use Canva? Raise your hand or say never. Okay, so a couple, got one. Only 1, 3. Okay, I'm going up. Have not used Canva. So I always say in my classes, if I could marry software, I would marry Canva. Don't anybody else do it. I'm saving up for the ring here, but amazing tool. Looks like a lot of you are already familiar with Canva, but if you're not a graphic designer, don't worry. You don't have to be. I actually teach a class called How to Create Marketing Graphics Like a Rock Star with Canva. I can send you the recording if you want it. But basically, you don't have to worry about Photoshop or Illustrator, any of those tools that are more complicated to use. I know how to use them, but Canva is my go-to tool to create graphics for everything. So you can use Canva. Here's just a sampling of what you can create with it. All of your social media posts, sizes, you can create offline graphics. You see here, letterhead and business cards and flyers and invitations and book covers. Birthday cards, you know, just a little bit of everything you can do. I think I can't think of something I can't create on Canva. I had a winery client of mine take a PDF flyer I created. They had won some gold medals on their wine, and they took it to their printer and they blew it up into a giant banner they have hanging outside their tasting room gate. Beautiful print quality graphics you can create on here. All of these different, it has all of your different sizes on here that you can do. You can do animated features. This is a little video demo showing you can create little animated elements into your graphics. They have tons of templates as well. Let's go on to the next one. You can create what's called a brand kit. So it's going to show you this little video. You can, if you have certain colors of yellow that you use for your business, you can put in the hex code of that particular yellow and save it in here, or all of your brand colors. If you use particular brand fonts, or you want some fancy fonts that Canva doesn't already have, you can put those fonts in here as well in your brand kit. And turn that off. So it's animated, again, as I mentioned already, animated features here that you can use, showing you a template with some more animated features. You can see here, there's tons of templates that you can pull in, and you can edit them and customize them as well. Many of the features are customizable on there. So a lot of great features. Here's some samples of some graphics I created for some clients back last year, Earth Day. Social media posts, I use it for graphics for this particular presentations. I create the slides on these on Canva, proposals, everything you can create on here. Great, fun tool to use. It's pretty easy to use, I think. Oops, let me go to the next slide there. Go backwards. And as you can see here, there's a feature called Instant Resize. It's on the paid version. I'll tell you about the cost in a minute for those who've never used it. Instead of having to create 4 different graphics all from scratch, you can just create one and then instant resize it, adjust it to fit that size, and then you're done. Super easy to do. And again, offline graphics, you know, marketing flyers, rack cards, my speaker bios on here. And this is an email, for example. Everything here is pretty much created on Canva and then brought into MailChimp. So that top banner was created on Canva. The fancy font that says outdoor and living inspiration, since you can't do that on email itself, that's an image. Here are some Polaroid slides with their pictures in it that were created on Canva. And these call to actions on the bottom, all created on Canva and then brought into MailChimp to create an email. And for the whopping price, there is a free version, but I recommend you pay for the pro version, whopping $10 a month if you pay annually, or $13 if you pay monthly. I would pay 5 times as much. Just don't tell Canva that. I like the price. Worth its weight in gold for this particular tool. You can use other graphic tools, but this Canva is so simple to use. A lot of great new features in it. You can do videos and other animations. You know, play around with it if you want on the free version, but a lot of the extra features they have are on the paid version. So it's worth that $10. One less couple lattes a month, right? So Later, it's like the last thing I'll show you here. Later is the tool that I use. It's later.com to publish on social media. So you now can post on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So LinkedIn and TikTok are new that you can post on there. There is a free version. Free version is pretty good. I'll show you some additional features that you may or may not care about to pay for. And it's not that it's similar in cost to Canva, you know, $9 a month or whatever for the paid version, the cheapest paid version. But the free version will let you post up to 30 posts per month per platform, and 1 platform per account. So only 1 Instagram, 1 Facebook, etc. So that's the free version. Some additional, this is the calendar. I'll show you how that works in a second, but that's basically what it is a calendar that you create and post. You can actually, there's some additional paid features here. So you can use tagged media, user-generated content, stock photo library. These are a few new features in Later that just popped up. This is, you can auto schedule or auto publish your Instagram. That's on the free version, as long as you are a business profile or professional profile and not a personal profile. That's, yeah. So if you're not a business or professional profile, you would have to push the content across the board. You can schedule Instagram stories on the paid version. It also can do smart hashtag suggestions on the paid version. So as you're typing in content, it can suggest popular hashtags for you based on, oh, you typed in mojito, why not use hashtag cocktails on there as an example. So that's a paid version feature. And also in the paid version is conversations. So you can manage all of your conversations here instead of doing them on Instagram or Facebook, etc. You can manage all of it here as well. So this is the calendar. This is the free thing that comes with it. You connect your Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever accounts you want to connect here. You upload your graphics that you just created on Canva, of course. And then you just drag and drop that image to the day and approximate time that you want to post that, right? And then this pops up, right? Shows you the picture. In this case, a BOGO in your pajamas. So we have, it's Thursday. There's the content. You can put your hashtags here, or you can put them in the first comment. You have that option here on the paid version to do that. And again, this is Instagram. So you put link in bio for that and have that link in the bio. But you can then just choose the day and time, and it'll drop at approximate time. You can adjust it from here if it didn't drop it at the right time on there. And then it posts up and schedules it for you. So you can schedule your calendar out as far ahead as you want. You only can schedule up to 30 at a time, so you can't do a full year's worth, but you can go a week ahead or a couple weeks ahead on here. Um, so yeah, pretty easy to use. Again, this is what, instead of connecting those accounts, like I showed you on that Instagram, Twitter thing, this makes it easy. You can use the same content, use the same pictures, adjust the hashtags based on Instagram versus Twitter. In here, you can only do link in bio. You can't do a direct link, but you can on Twitter and Facebook. So you make minor adjustments on it, but it makes it super simple to post across the board, so hopefully those two tools, again, later.com, canva.com, free, paid, a little bit of money, definitely going to help get your social media up and going, hopefully quicker than it is now if you're struggling with your social media. So next up to your business, what plan do you need in place to grow your business with social media? And what support do you need to meet your social media goals, right? So if you want to talk to me, everybody's invited to just a free 30-minute discovery session. There's no obligation to do anything with me. Just go to callwithpatty.com. It will drop you to my calendar to set up that call. I can answer any questions I didn't get a chance to answer today. And talk strategy about your business. I always like talking to businesses that attend my classes. So I don't see any more questions here. I'm just scrolling back real quick. Gabrielle already left, so I won't answer her questions here. And Ashley, did you have a question? If you want to type it in. I saw you raise your hand, so I don't know if you did have. Yes, so I'll put it in chat. She just asked for my email, but you'll get that as well. But it's patty@goldenstatemarketing.net. I'm just typing that in right now. That's in the chat. If you want to reach out to me, but I'll make sure you should all get the recording and the slides and the content calendar. You'll have the contact information. Check out my calendar as well on my website, goldenstatemarketing.net. The education page has all of my upcoming classes, and I'll have some specific ones. I have a Facebook and Instagram, a LinkedIn class, my marketing plan class I'm teaching a few times. So check those out as well. Oh, thoughts on podcasts. Yeah, it depends on your business. As far as if it works for you and you promote them enough. You don't want to record, try recording a couple podcasts and see what reach you get with those, post them on social media, email. It really just depends on the content. And if it's of interest, make it fun, but not too long, as well. So it really just depends. I've seen some people really do well with podcasts and others are just kind of like, and no one's paying attention to it. So don't pre-record a bunch of them, do a couple of them and then see what kind of reach you get with them. So I hope that helps. I don't see any further questions. So if not, definitely schedule that call if you want to talk about your social media strategy or anything else. Thank you so much, everybody who attended. Watch for that email with all of the content. And thank you. You're welcome. And everybody have a great day. I hope to see you at a class soon. Thank you very much for attending.